I thought I would do a little video today. What's up, guys? Hopefully you're doing well. I thought I would do a little video today talking about eBay. I know some people love eBay, and some people hate eBay. Now, for me, I think with eBay, I think I would I would never pay. I would never want to risk, buying something that was mega expensive from eBay because of that risk of being scammed by a dodgy seller. I mean, I've never, paid over £100 for anything because, personally, as I said, because I wouldn't want to take that risk of potentially being scammed by a dodgy seller, because that would obviously be a lot of money to lose. Now, over the last year or so, eBay has been a godsend for me in terms of buying video games. So around the end of 2023, I made the decision to purchase an Xbox 360. I purchased some games from the CES, from CES. I purchased some games from Amazon, and I also purchased quite a few games from eBay. And it was so when I made the decision to buy a PS2 last year. I bought quite a large amount of games from eBay. I remember at one point I was buying games from eBay thinking that my games weren't working, but it was actually the console itself that wasn't working because one of the wires was damaged, so it wasn't working properly. And it was what it was. I had the first PS2. And somehow or another the wire got damaged. I don't know if it's something I did, but the wire got damaged and it wasn't reading games properly. Like games that had previously worked on it weren't working. Basically games that I was buying that were literally in a rock solid condition from eBay weren't working on it either. So I was like, what the heck is going on? So I realised I might need to buy a new PS2, and sure enough, when I bought a new PS2, the games were fine. I mean, as I said, eBay has been a godsend for me in terms of being able to buy video games. I mean, the thing is, where I live, there's not really many places around here to buy video games. Like we used to have obviously a lot of game shops. I think we had one at Romford. We had one at Canary Wharf, one at Westfield. So it wasn't bad. So it weren't bad. But now all of the game shops, the majority of game shops have closed down, including the one at Westfield, which closed its doors at the end of, around the second half of 2023. And the one at Canary Wharf has been shut down for a few years now, I believe. It's not been there for a few years. So obviously, that leaves me a little bit screwed because there's not really many places for me to go and buy video games. And there have been times where I've been up to Stratford and I've gone into CES looking for a certain game, not been able to find it. And I've come home, gone on eBay and found multiple sellers selling a copy of the game. And it's funny because at times I found games to be cheaper on eBay than they are in the CES. And then other times it's been like vice versa. It's been like games have been cheaper in CES than they have been in eBay. Been on eBay. I mean, I personally have never had any problems with anything that I bought from eBay. I've only really bought like console, the PS2, and I've always, and like mainly video games from there. I've never attempted to buy something like a PS, like a mobile phone or something like that. I don't think I would take the risk. I certainly won't take the risk of buying a PS5 Pro from there. I don't want to lose that amount of money to a dodgy seller, because there probably would be some dodgy sellers on there, to be honest. I mean, I've never had, as I said, not really had too many problems. I've only ever had one issue where something that I ordered didn't arrive. And I wasn't that annoyed about it because it obviously I hadn't lost a lot of money. It was a game that had cost less than a tenner. I think it may even have cost less than a fiver. So I wasn't really losing that much money from the game, obviously from paying for a game that hadn't arrived. You know, it wasn't like I paid 40, 50 quid for the game, which would have been quite, quite a steep amount of money to lose. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I did have a few issues, well, an issue not last week, not this recently with another set of games I ordered. So, not just before Christmas, I was browsing eBay and I noticed this seller was selling a set of brand new sealed copies of the the four Ratchet and Clank games that came out on PS2. And I thought, oh, those would be some good games to have in my collection. So the seller was charging £77 for these four brand new sealed games, with no additional postage cost. So I bought the games. I bought them, paid the £77, and it said that the delivery would be by 27th of December. So I was aware that things would be a bit hiddly-piddly with Christmas being in the middle of that, so I knew that it might not actually come by then. But I thought it would probably only be a few days late at the most. Probably if it didn't come on the Friday, by the Friday it would probably be here by the Monday at the earliest. So I waited just over a week for the game, and it didn't arrive. I went for the four games, and they didn't arrive. So last Saturday, it's not the Saturday just gone, but the Saturday before, I was getting a little bit worried. As I said, it had been just over a week, and I got in contact with the seller. And I said, hi, I said, I was just wondering what's happening with the games, because it's been just over a week, they haven't arrived yet. I had no way of tracking the games because there was no tracking. It was an untracked an untracked package, so I couldn't track it. And I said, I've got no way of tracking the games to see where they are. I don't know what's going on, and I was getting a bit worried that they weren't going to turn up. So the seller messaged me back, and they said that they would send me out another set of the games with no additional cost. Didn't have to pay for that, which I thought was a really good thing. I thought it was really cool. It was really good that the seller was actually, sending me out another set of the games, to make up for the other ones that for some reason hadn't turned up. The thing was, I tried to cancel the first lot, and the seller would send me a message to say that they hadn't cancelled the order because they'd already posted the games out, so they couldn't cancel it. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Obviously I was starting to get a bit concerned. I admit that I was getting a little bit worried. Like, I was starting to think, had I been scammed? But then when I was looking at the seller's feedback, I noticed that they got a lot of positive, quite a large amount of positive feedback, from people that had obviously previously bought from that seller. So I was like, oh, hey, that must be a good thing. I'm sure that shows the seller is legit. And as I said, I got the games that I was waiting for 3 days later on the Wednesday. I think it was on the Wednesday. It was either on the Tuesday or Wednesday. I got them. Now, I don't know if it was the first set that I'd ordered or if it was the second set that the seller had sent out to me. I don't know which set. I don't know which set it was. I don't know if it was the first set that I'd ordered or the second set that the seller had sent out to me. To I wonder after I sent the message saying that the first set hadn't arrived. But at least I have them now, which is the main thing. At least I eventually did get what I paid for, which is one thing I was happy about. So I would have been quite pissed off had I lost 77 quid because that was a lot of money to lose. And so, I mean, well, the PS2 I ordered that cost about £2 more than that. That was, I think, £79 plus. I think it was like £6 additional, £6 additional postage cost. I mean, that's the one thing I've noticed is like when you pay for postage, you get, you can track it, you can track the item, but if you don't pay for postage, it's an untracked thing, so you can't track it. But yeah, I mean, at least I did. At least I eventually did what I paid for. I mean, so the PS2 I bought. So I bought the first one. That was, and then as I said, the wire got damaged on that one and it stopped working. So I bought the second one. Now, when I was looking for a new one, I saw a seller on there, and he was selling one for. They were selling one for about 150 quid. And it said that they were willing to listen to. They were only willing to listen to offers above 100 quid. 100 quid, between 100 and 150. And I just looked at it and I thought, there's no way that someone is going to pay £150 for that console, because it didn't even come with any games or anything. All it came with was the wires and the control pad. That was it. Didn't come with any games. Didn't come with a memory card or anything like that. And I just thought to myself, like, there's no way that anyone's going to pay that money. But when you think about the fact that the seller I bought the PS2 from was charging £79 for a PlayStation 2 that came with 16 games, a memory card, and obviously the control pad and the wires, it came with all that. And you're getting all that for £79. Why would you want to pay 150 quid for a console that doesn't come with any games at all, or no memory cards or anything like that? When you can pay 79 quid for a PS2 that comes with everything. The wires, control pads, the memory card, and also 16 games. It's like, that is a decent deal. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, obviously, as I said, with eBay, I think I wouldn't want to risk paying too much money for something, because there are a lot of scammers. I mean, the amount of trouble people had when new consoles come out, the scalpers on eBay are just unbelievable. They really, really are. I mean, I think, with me, it's all, it's good. Like, as I said, sometimes there have been those times where I've been into CEX to look, looking for a certain game, and they didn't have it in there. But when I come home and I look on eBay, there's various sellers actually selling the game. Now, if something is in an acceptable condition, I won't buy it. Purely for the simple fact that I have made that mistake on 2 previous occasions, buying something that was in an acceptable condition, and when it arrived, it didn't work. So there was, I remember the other week, well, about a month or 2 months ago, I ordered a set of it was a free Jack and Daxter games for the PS2, and they were in an acceptable condition, and I thought, maybe they might work. But when I got them home, I tested them and they didn't work. But which wasn't really surprising, considering that the discs were in such a bad condition. They were so badly scratched, it was unbelievable. And I looked at them and I just thought to myself, like, how can a seller have the cheek to sell games that are in that condition? It's not you know, it's like, why would you, you know, like, it's like, why would you want to sell a set of games knowing that they're probably not gonna work? You know, it's like, I don't get that, you know. So, I mean, I like, you know, obviously now what I do is I look to see if there's a seller selling a copy of the game that's in a good or a very good condition. I mean, I'm not particularly looking for, like, specifically looking for games that are in a light new condition. But if it's in a good or a very good condition, that's fine. You know, that's enough for me to think, oh yeah, I'll buy the game. Um, and you've also got to look at price wise as well. Like, I tried to, you know, see if, price wise, I've had a lot of that. I mean, thinking about the amount of money I've spent on games from eBay, it's just unbelievable. Like, I've probably spent at least, I'd say at least 400, 500 quid, 500 quid if not more, on games from eBay. And so I've got games for the PS4. Well, I didn't buy those games from eBay, but I've got games for the PS2 that I've ordered from eBay. I've got games for the Xbox 360 that I've ordered from eBay. I've also bought some PS1 games, and no, I haven't now purchased the PS1. I bought the PS1 games because obviously I found out after doing research that the majority of PS1 games are backwards compatible with the PS2. I've got like some of the like retro FIFA games and the two original SmackDown games, SmackDown and SmackDown Know Your Role, and also the 3 original Crash Bandicoot games as well. So, I mean, I'm happy with the collection that I have. I'm happy with the money I've spent. You know, I feel like, there are times where I sit here and I feel like I've spent too much money on games buying video games. Like, I don't feel like there's any more games I really need to necessarily get. There's not really any other games that I have that desire to go out and get. As I think I have most of the games I want, for my collection. I think, it amazes me to think the amount of money I spend on, like, blind. But as I said, eBay over the last year or so has been a godsend in terms of being able to find games I was looking for, wasn't able to find in CEX. Like, that's a major problem with Stratford now, and a major problem with this area in general. Is there's just not really any shops now where you can go and buy video games. Like, apart from the only shop that we have up Stratford is CEX. I mean, you have Gadget Exchange, but Gadget Exchange doesn't really sell old games. Like, for the older consoles, it only really sells like newer games for the newer consoles. Whereas CEX is the only place at Stratford that you have to go out, that you have as an option for buying games from the Xbox 360, for the PS2, which are 2 consoles that I have been collecting for over the past year or so. The one thing I have noticed with my CEX is that, as I know that some places do them, but my CEX never seems to get any games in for the original Xbox. Like, I always have a lot of games in there for the PS2, but never for the original Xbox. I've been in there about 4 or 5 times over the past year, and they've not had a single original Xbox game in there. Like, it's not that I'm looking for games for the original, not that I was actually looking for games for the original Xbox, but I've always thought it was a bit weird how they never get games for the original Xbox in that shop. They do get games for the PS2, but never for the original Xbox. Always thought that was quite funny. Obviously, for me, I think, I like eBay for the most part. Genuinely, because I've never really had too many issues with the sellers I purchase stuff from. Like, eBay for me has been pretty reliable. like a lot of the sellers I've ordered from have been pretty reliable and pretty good. In terms of communication as well. They're always so good. They're always so good with that. If I message them to ask them if they posted the games out, they'll say, "Yeah, I've done that." They have no problem with letting me know that. So, it's like it's like when I know that these sellers are quite reliable. I probably won't have an issue with buying stuff from them again because they're pretty good. Um, I tell you what, I was a bit concerned because obviously the two games I ordered.
We're so close now to 1,000 subscribers.
Like the two games I ordered yesterday, for for the PlayStation, the PS1, which were the two games I ordered last week, which came yesterday, which were for the PS2, which was for the PS1, that being SmackDown and SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. When I got them out of the box, I noticed that the casing for the games was a little bit damaged, so I was a bit concerned about about what condition the discs were gonna be in. But the discs were in a very good condition. They do work. I tested them out yesterday. Both games were working really well. I mean, obviously, well, there have been times where, as I said, I've ordered stuff that was something that was in an acceptable condition and it didn't work. So I would advise you guys not to take that risk. But some of you guys might think it necessary to take that risk, but I probably wouldn't. Genuinely, because you don't know. Well, I think, you just have to be careful. I think the best thing to do before ordering anything from eBay is actually, or buying something from a seller, is check that seller's feedback and reviews. See what sort of reviews they've had and what sort of feedback they've had. And if they've had positive, generally positive feedback from people that have ordered stuff from them, you'll know that it's safe to actually, to purchase something from that seller. But if they haven't, just avoid, because you almost likely end up being scammed. Also, don't take the risk of buying something that's in an acceptable condition, because that's a mistake I've made on two separate occasions, and the item was and as I said, when I received the item, it didn't work, or the items, they didn't work. In the case of the Jak and Daxter games, I ordered the three of them, and they didn't work, so I had to order 3 new ones. Which sucked a little bit, as it was like, but as I said, it doesn't make sense to me, the fact that someone would sell something that wasn't in a very good condition, because, to be honest, if I was selling something on eBay, I probably wouldn't sell something that, unless I knew that, it was in a very good condition and it worked well. I wouldn't want to sell something that isn't in a very good condition. It's like when you look at these games, like when I've ordered games and they've arrived, that were in an acceptable condition, and they've arrived. I've sort of looked at the discs and that, seen how badly scratched they were, and just thought to myself, like, why is the seller even selling these games? I guess it's just trying to get rid of them, I guess. And I think the problem with these sellers is they know that somebody will probably be stupid enough and gullible enough to buy those games or buy that product from them, even if it's in an acceptable condition and even though it's not in a very good condition, they'll still pay that money. And that's the mistake that I've obviously made on 2 separate occasions, is buying something that wasn't in a very good condition, and not with that kind of hope of, thinking, when there might be that chance of when it arrives, it might actually work, but obviously, the items when they arrived, they didn't work. Which was a bit frustrating because obviously it meant that I'd wasted my money. But I guess, hey ho, I guess it is what it is. You learn from your past mistakes. And that's certainly a mistake that I won't be making again. I mean, eBay, I'm not saying that people shouldn't order stuff from eBay. I'm just saying that you shouldn't take the risk of buying something that is mega expensive. If it came to something that was like mega expensive, I would probably buy it in a store, like in a legitimate shop, like Argos or whatever it is you're looking for. Buy it. If it's mega expensive, don't take that risk of buying it on eBay. Because there are a lot of scammers out there who would be determined to scam someone out of their money. I have seen times where people have ordered expensive stuff from eBay and haven't got what they paid for. And it's like, this is the thing, right? If you was to order something from eBay and you never got the item that you paid for, like, how would would you be able to actually get your money back? Like, is that even possible? Like, is it actually possible to get your money back if you've ordered something from eBay and it didn't arrive? Like, would you be able to actually claim your money back from that? I mean, if it was a large amount of money, I would say, I probably would be determined to get that money back. But if it was only a small amount of money, I wouldn't have a problem, which is why I didn't do that when I ordered that game for the Xbox 360 and it didn't turn up. Like, I didn't even bother trying to get the money back because it wasn't a lot, as I hadn't lost a lot of money. Had I lost a large amount of money, I would have gone about trying to get that money back. At the end, that's what I would have done. But it wasn't a lot. I hadn't lost that much money, so there wasn't really a point in me trying to get such a small amount of money back because, it's like it's not that big a deal. It's not. There's no point really making a fuss about losing less than something and losing less than £5. Which is what the situation was. The game was literally less than £5 with basically, I think a small amount of postage cost. Didn't get what I paid for, wasn't that bothered as I hadn't lost a lot of money. I mean, yeah, it was frustrating at the time, and I was like, I realised I'd been scammed by a seller, and I realised that I'd lost that money, and but that's the only issue I've ever had with buying it. Like most of the stuff I've ordered from eBay has arrived on time. Maybe there have been some things that have arrived 1 or 2 days late, but they have still arrived. Like, I know, to be honest, I don't necessarily have a problem with with things that I've ordered from eBay arriving 1 or 2 days late. As long as they still arrive, that's okay. Even if they arrive 3 or 4 days late, it's still, it's still not like that. It still doesn't bother me that much. Because, at least I'm still getting what I paid for, even if it is a few days late or whatever. At least I'm still getting that item that I've actually ordered, I've actually paid for. So it's not a problem. And I mean, as I said, I think there are some really good sellers on eBay. Some of I think the sellers that I've encountered are really good. I mean, look at that seller I mentioned earlier in the video. I was saying about that seller with the 4 Ratchet and Clank games. The first set they sent out to me didn't arrive, so I messaged them and I said I was getting a bit worried because I hadn't turned up, and they sent me out a second set with no additional cost. And I just thought it was really nice of them to do that. It was a really good thing for them to do. Like, it was just so good of them to kind of send me out a new set of the games to actually in place of the ones that had actually been sent out but hadn't turned up. As it wasn't even like I'd asked them to do that. They had taken courtesy to do that. Even though I hadn't asked them to send me out a new set. they still had the decency to do that, and they did, the fact that they didn't even ask me to pay anything towards that was just so good, and I think, that alone makes me want to buy from that seller again, because that seller was so good, in sending me out a certain set of games to replace the ones that hadn't arrived. And the fact that I didn't have to pay any sort of additional cost towards that, I thought was really good. As I said, the majority of sellers I've ordered from have been really good and have been really reliable. And I am really happy with a lot of the games I've ordered from eBay. Like, some of the games I've ordered from there are just absolutely incredible. Like, they're in such a good condition. There are some PS2 games I have bought from CEX. But most of them have come from eBay. Like, I'm just looking at my collection now, because my collection is next to my bedroom door. I think if somebody... that's my dog going after something. It is the postman. She's like, actually, she likes going after the postman, and they put letters through the door. I think if somebody came through my bedroom, as I said, if somebody came through my bedroom door and they saw all of my PS2 games, I think they'd be shocked. Because I think, to be honest, I still can't believe I have so many games. I also have a few games of the PS5 as well, but also, it's just crazy. As I said, I've got 4 different consoles now, so I ordered the games for them. I don't really order games for the PS5. I tend to more order games for my older 2 consoles, which being the Xbox 360 and the PS2. There's nothing. I honestly don't think there's anything wrong, personally, with eBay. I think some people generally say, don't buy from eBay because they've had negative experiences. But, and I do feel sorry, and I do feel bad for the people that have had, bad experiences when they've ordered stuff from eBay, and obviously that is very unfortunate. I do feel bad for the people that have lost money to dodgy sellers on eBay. But for me personally, I've only ever had that one kind of bad experience where I did order something but didn't get what I paid for. But as I said, I haven't lost a lot of money, so it wasn't a problem. It wasn't really an issue. But yeah, obviously, I'm not trying to put anyone off of buying from eBay. That's not my intention. I'm saying just be careful with what you're doing, and my advice is not to buy anything that's too expensive on eBay, because genuinely, because of that risk of being scammed by a dodgy seller, you don't want to end up losing such a large amount of money and not get what you paid for at the end of the day. With the PS, as I say, I bought the PS2 for 79 quid. I was never, I don't regret paying that amount of money. I think it was decent value for a console that came with 16 games and came with the wires, control pad, and also a memory card as well, which was good. It's not that bad. I think you win some, you lose some with eBay, but for me, ordering from eBay has been a massive win. I always like to take the courtesy as well to when I receive my parcels. What I like to do is I like to message the sellers and say hi. Hi, I've received the package, and just let them know that I've tested. I've tested the games out and really enjoyed playing them. And then normally, and most of the sellers are normally they're really, really happy with that. I think they like to get that. I think, a lot of sellers really like getting that kind of those positive messages from the seller saying they've received the item and they're really happy with it. And it's like when I'm happy with something I've ordered, I do like to message the seller and let them know, because I think it's a nice thing to do. I think it's a nice thing to do to kind of message them and let them know that I am happy with what I've got, I'm happy with what I ordered, with my item, and that it's it's really good. So I hope you enjoyed this little video anyway. Well, not exactly a little video, but I thought I would do a nice video this morning talking about that. So yeah, see you for another video soon. Bye bye.